Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Standing Tall with Gloria Johnson podcast. And I'm so excited to be here today with musician Allison Russell. And I say musician, but I've also seen you on Broadway. And so you do a lot.
Yes. The late-breaking acting career.
Yeah, but it was fabulous. It was actually my first Broadway play. So I have to say I was hooked, and I've been to several since.
It's so good. It's such a powerful medium.
It really, really is. I was also trying to figure out, like, when we first met, I know that I knew of you back from, like, Birds of Chicago days. You know, I'd heard your music. But I was kind of looking back in my pictures to see when we first connected.
It was definitely Smithsonian when we did, Taj Mahal and I were at the Smithsonian Museum of American History. It was for the opening of Entertainment Nation.
Yes.
That 30-year long curation project of spanning everything from R2-D2 to Benny Goodman's clarinet and everything in between. It's amazing if you get the chance to go. But Taj was being honored, and I was doing a conversation with him that the Americana Music Association was sponsoring at Smithsonian. And you and Representative Jones showed up at the talk, and I was so touched because that was 22. That was the first time we met, and then we reconnected at Love Rising in 23.
Yeah, and that's I can't remember why we were there. I don't know if it was a conference. I can't remember.
You were doing work on the Hill.
You
guys were doing serious work on the Hill at that point.
Maybe a Supreme Court decision was coming down
I think
too.
so.
I think so. We were there, and I had gotten to the airport because I was leaving.
Yeah.
And then my flight got canceled.
That's right.
And I was like, Justin, I'm coming back. Give me a ticket.
So
because he goes, if you can stay, we can go to see this thing with Taj Mahal and Allison Russell.
That's so
And
cool.
I said, well, okay, I'm coming back.
It was such a beautiful night. I'll never.
It was. I was so thrilled that I got to be there and see that and see what they're doing.
I know.
You know, that's something that I was not completely aware of. So.
And it's like that intergenerational cross-pollination is so beneficial in everything, right?
Yeah.
In politics, in music, in life, in all of it. Like I've been thinking about that so much, that this unnatural separation and fear-mongering between generations really harms everybody. And it's so much nicer, y'all, when we can just be together.
Yes.
So much nicer.
Some of the bigger fights in politics are the younger people, a lot of times, the older people will say, oh, we want the young generation, but then they don't let them lead. They want them to lift and carry.
That's right. Or they're afraid of them.
And then the young people want to step up, and maybe they have some different ideas than the folks. Well, we tried that before, it didn't work. Yeah. Let this new generation try some new things.
Yeah. let them lead.
Finding that way, I mean, we can still honor those people who have been in it for a while, and things they bring to the table are still relevant. Yeah. But also let the young people lead in the way that they want to lead.
Yes, we have to listen to each other. You model that so beautifully. I feel like, Gloria, because you go everywhere. You go everywhere in the state. You listen to everyone, whether they voted for you or not, whether they agree with you or not. And you listen to everyone. You're not afraid to listen to people and to be with people. It's a palpable difference.
I feel like so many up here feel like they're not open to listening to a different viewpoint.
No.
And you don't have to agree, but I think that people that you represent, you should hear them out.
You absolutely should. You have to. That's the job.
Right.
That's the gig.
Exactly.
As a representative.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, the next thing I think about was during the drag ban and all of that. Yeah. You were very active. I was following you on social media, and then I guess you came up with the idea of the Love Rising show.
Yeah, it was sort of Isbell and I both were, Jason Isbell and I both were kind of dreaming the same thing at the same time. And I remember I still have the text thread, the Love Rising text thread of all the people I text when something comes into my mind, like, can we get this together? And, Tracy Gershon, Ali Harnell, Leslie Fram were in that first wave of me going, could we put on a huge benefit at Bridgestone? What do you guys think? And support the work of
In
organizations in the
less than 2
trenches fighting
weeks.
back against these draconian, totally unconstitutional, defamatory and discriminatory, needless laws that were coming through.
And wasn't it in less than 2 weeks
Yes,
that
we
this
had,
whole thing came to fruition?
So we had 2 weeks, 11 days actually, before our show would become illegal, because of course our show also featured wonderful drag queens and kings. Asia O'Hara came to be our MC for the night. RuPaul sent a message. Everybody was involved. All of these extraordinary artists, and literally it would become illegal to have families come to shows that featured artists in drag. Like that was one of the very unnecessary measures, that were being proposed and pushed through, which ultimately got pushed back against by the ACLU, struck down and brought back. I mean, I don't know even where we are now in the back and forth of it.
Yeah.
Legally so-called, but
and I think there are challenges that can continue.
Yes, and they are. Yeah.
Because it's just, you know what, in your heart that it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's so unbelievable to me that that's where we are. And that's why I think that show was on a Monday night, because that's when we have session on Monday evening. And I had tickets and I told Justin, let's go after session.
Yeah.
And so our plan was to walk down when we finished, and we're hoping, we've got to finish. We want to get down there. And so we did finish in time for us to get down before the start and be there for the show. And it was just amazing. And I never expected in that short of time from start to finish to see that size crowd.
It was incredible. Over 11,000 people showed up. We raised almost $600,000 for all of these wonderful organizations like Get Out Memphis, like Tennessee Equality Project, all of these incredible organizations. And also Headcount was there doing voter registration, and a whole bunch of new voters, young voters signed up that night. All kinds of community tables with different local organizations doing outreach. It was just beautiful. And all the artists that showed up and donated their time. People like Haley Williams from Paramore, Sheryl Crow, Hozier, Brittany Howard, Joya Ladakun, Julian, all of these incredible artists.
I know. I went back to my pictures.
I have to pull up there's so many, and everybody donated their time.
Yeah.
Nobody was.
And Adeem the artist.
Adeem was there.
Adeem is from Knoxville.
Autumn Nicholas was there.
Yeah.
All of these incredible artists.
Yeah. It was just from leaving the house floor and going down there was exactly what we needed at that time. And that is why, for me, that music is so important, just to keep me centered and keep me going when I'm dealing with some of this horrific stuff. And so you are a musician, but you're also an activist and very involved. I know you came to the Capitol with a group of musicians to speak to Bill Lee and to Cameron Sexton about after the Covenant shooting, about doing something about gun violence. And I know that you did that amazing song with Annie Lennox, talking about war violence and what we're seeing in Palestine and
Sudan and Congo, and Haiti,
all over. But some people are afraid of that because of losing fan base and things like that. So how does that work for you? And how did you have to make the decision, or is that just kind of who you are?
It's been sort of integral to. I don't think we can separate being humans in the world and being artists. And definitely, I'm a mother, and I'm a Black queer immigrant woman living in Tennessee. So, I exist.
Do the math.
I exist. So if I don't show up for my communities, how can I ask other people to show up for my communities?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just not even a question. And as whomever you lose, then you also gain people that feel aligned with the basic premise of harm reduction and human equality, and that we're all fighting internalized biases. Many of us I grew up in a white supremacist family. I grew up with an expat American father, adoptive father, who was old enough to be my grandfather, who was born in a sundown town in Indiana in 1936.
Wow.
So he didn't believe I was fully human.
Mm-hmm.
And he acted accordingly. It was a very abusive childhood. But I see that man, not a monster, a man who was ideologically abused, who became a very had violence meted out upon him, and he paid it forward. And so are we going to be people that pay forward the horrors that were done to us or that we see around us? Or are we going to be people that say, no, life doesn't have to be that way. I don't want that for my kid or anyone's kid. I
Right.
don't want that to continue. I don't want to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, if you're lucky, and I was lucky in that I found chosen family through art, through music, that could see me and value me as I was, and it changed the narrative I had for myself and what was possible. And so it became and becomes and continues to be really important to me to continue to shift that narrative. And if we're not going to, and the other thing is, what is the famous quote? They'll come for me in the night, but they'll come for you in the morning. It doesn't stop with that kind of dehumanization and scapegoating of one community. It won't stop there. It will continue. And when civil liberties and human rights are eroded for one group, they are eroded for all humans. And you don't get to reel it back in when it's people you actually care about.
Right.
Right?
And at that point, it's probably too
late.
late.
It's too late. And so the radical notion that we should care about all our fellow humans, that doesn't seem radical to me. That to me is self-preservation as well, right? I can't pass for anything other than what I am.
Right.
So I got to show up. I have to show up and grow the circles of safety and inclusion. And Brother Jones said something yesterday. We did a talk, or the other day, we did a talk at the National Museum of African American Music right here on Representative John Lewis Way.
A
few blocks away here in Nashville, with Representative Jones and Ruby Amamfu. And he talked about his grounding in nonviolent resistance to oppressive laws, violent laws, discriminatory laws and practices, and that he had learned from Dr. Lawson this notion of the circle that they draw a circle that they want to keep us out of, but we draw a circle large enough to include them.
Everybody.
To include everybody. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm butchering it probably, but that notion was so lovely to me. And I do think about everything that you're doing, that we're doing as parts of circle work, of growing these circles of belonging and safety and inclusion and diversity, which is not a dirty word, which is the premise for life, all life as we know it on Earth, the only living planet that we actually know of for sure in the universe. And billionaires that want to are welcome to go explore space. They should talk to astronauts, though, first, who have gone to space for long periods of time and experienced bone drift and deep mental distress from being away from our Mother Earth for too long. They might want to have those conversations first. But that's up to them. But we're here on Earth, and it's the miracle of life on this planet is worth some discomfort for some uncomfortable conversations. If there are people who send me hate DMs, that's fine. I can block. So that's a long-winded answer to say no. It's never occurred to me to not say something that I believe in, or to amplify the work that I want to see flourish in the world. And human rights is a brand new idea in our human history that we need to fight for. I think we got complacent for a little while, thinking, we're going to roll merrily along. But now the U.S., which at least paid lip service to being an arbiter of democracy, is well into an autocratic rule. We're well into authoritarianism and fascism. And we're seeing that playing out in our state with trying to further disenfranchise Black voters in Memphis with redistricting. We've seen that here recently, right here in Nashville and our greater Nashville area. It's happening fast and in real time, and it will make, I hope, strange bedfellows of a coalition. It was really encouraging to hear Representative Jones talk about, his punishment to be sent to the Agricultural Committee and how that has been this blessing in disguise, where he's actually, first of all, doing healing practices like riding horses and learning from that rural community, and also bridging the aisle in that rural community with people who voted Republican all their lives saying, wow, you're the only one that showed up here. You're the only one that came here to us and cares about what's happening for our families and our farms.
When it's the chemicals on the farm or something's happening
Exactly.
with their water,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's incredible. You know, it's critical.
Yeah.
We need our kids need clean water to
Yes,
drink.
all of
Our
them.
livestock needs clean water to
All
drink.
of them. Yeah.
And so that is what he's fighting for.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, they put him on there as a punishment, but he has embraced it.
And it's a blessing because it's bringing a coalition together. People that thought that they had to be enemies for fallacies, you know, for disinformation.
Really opened their eyes. So many times I've seen them, you know, say that, just like when they see how he is treated as a member of that committee.
Yeah.
They're horrified. And these are hardcore Republican East Tennessee voters, a lot of them. Yeah. And they see what is happening. And I think that's so important that everybody sees what's happening. Yeah. And you know, even some of my own colleagues are saying, well, you know, we want it to be like it was 20 or 30 years ago. No, we don't want it to be that. 20 or 30 years ago, it didn't work for Black people. It didn't work for brown people. It didn't work for women or the disabled or seniors.
It's like a creative anachronism, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a fantasy, this like world that did not exist.
Yeah.
Didn't exist. Yeah. You know, and maybe there was a section of the population that felt like they were in a utopian world because they didn't have to think about or know about what that was, who was bleeding to provide that, right? Mm-hmm. So now we know we can't hide. That is the other fascinating part of this time that we're living through, I think, is just the onslaught of 24/7. You can know about every horrific thing everywhere, and that can cause a kind of a paralysis, I think, where people just feel so overwhelmed that they
turn it off.
They turn it off. And you know what? It's okay to turn it off, but go out into your community and turn it on that way.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody can do something.
Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time. You're so angry and you're so frustrated, but if you get out and do a little bit of work with folks who are resisting and pushing back and doing things for their community. And so probably, you know, one of the most asked questions I get is, you know, how do I get involved? Yeah. And so I ask people, what issue is most important to you? And then I direct them at a group that's doing that work. Because if you are pushing back, you'll work through that hate. You know, you'll go, I'm doing something to make a difference. And even if you're a super busy person and you just have 30 minutes a week, you know, I can find something
to do
that you can do so that you can push back and feel like you are contributing to the positive work that's happening in the world and not just sitting there listening to the things that you don't like that are happening and do something about it. I think that the World Cup being here has
transformative for people.
Given me, you know, it's reminding me that most of the people in this country are great.
Yes.
And they love people coming in and they love welcoming travelers and strangers and showing them what we have to offer. And that for most of the country, it's not this hate that we're constantly hearing from this administration.
No, it's a distortion. It's such a distortion. And people, and it's exactly what the World Cup has done being here, is get people out in real life together, outdoors, in the sunshine and the air with trees and plants and kids and elders and animals and everybody together, like, which helps us regulate as humans and not go into kind of fight or flight depredations that causes, you know, where people can't think anything through. They're just constantly fight or flight reaction, you know.
Yeah, just having some joy and sharing that joy.
And realizing like, oh, I love the Cape Verde or soccer players, and I'm rooting for the underdogs, and
and
that's
I love
the story.
I love hearing these accents, and I love hearing people speak in different languages.
And it doesn't have to be
my
scary.
favorite thing is like I can try to figure out if I can guess what it is or what part of the world they're from, and all of that. So.
And also the ways that we communicate that go beyond language.
Yes.
How much we actually communicate that goes beyond language, and music is a part of that, but body language and expressions and emanating goodwill at somebody else, they feel it.
Yeah.
And you can return it, and you can do it
without a doubt,
without knowing a word, you know, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll soon know some of each other's words if you have the goodwill to start communicating.
To learn them. You know, I always wish I knew another language, but
Yeah.
I've tried to learn and I'm terrible at it. But I guess I
Well,
need to
it's
focus
hard if you're
more.
not immersed. It's
Yeah.
hard if you're not immersed. You would, if you went anywhere, pick a language that you want to learn. If you went to a place where no one would switch to English and you have to do it to
I'd
communicate.
figure it out.
You would. Everybody would. Everybody would.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I also want to talk about Tennessee Rise because that was
Yes.
such,
That was so
a
joyful.
joy for me as we're starting that U.S. Senate campaign. And just to the whole experience of like, you had to figure out how we can do it because there are all the campaign finance laws and all of that stuff.
Sarah
then
Bear
also-
did all that figuring out. Thank goodness it wasn't left up to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no way.
You had lawyers for that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, bringing all the people together for the recording.
Yeah,
So,
it was
that was all
joyful.
you too.
That's our
So-
community. It's our community of wonderful Maren Morris, Brittany Howard, Brittany Spencer, Devin Gilfillian, Ruby Amamfu, Kashana, Amanda Shires, all of the Emmylou Harris, a huge choir of everybody, like Julie Williams. There were so many people in the room. I'm like, I need to
I
have
know,
the list
I'm
in
trying
front of
to
me.
think.
It was like a choir
Mary
of people. Mary
Gaucher.
Gaucher. I should have the list in front of me because they're
No.
Fancy.
Yes,
Fancy. Fancy, who just did an extraordinary set at our Pride Fest.
I saw some of that
Fancy.
online, but I didn't
Yes,
get to
all
see
of
it in
these
person.
amazing artists, like just
Yeah, it was that I got to
joyful.
be there while that was
Yeah.
happening was just so amazing to see, and it was such a great energy, and
was.
that song just always completely lifts me up and
Yeah.
everything. So
Aw.
that's what everybody always
That's
says.
what I wanted it to be.
When Allison calls, I come. They
Aw.
said that for Love Rising. They said that for Tennessee Rise, and
But that's them too. That's our whole, it's circle work. It's not one,
Yeah.
it's like all of us dreaming a thing together. Like we have to be able to imagine it first. I really think there's such a danger right now where people get exhausted energetically with repudiation and outrage. And there's so much to be outraged about every day. There's a new, just unbelievable outrage, whether it's a UFC fighter calling our former First Lady a man, or it's whatever it is, like these ridiculous, awful, miserable, just terrible, worst of humanity moments that people can get exhausted and outrage over. And that saps our energy to get together and imagine what we actually want to see, what we want to build together. Imagine this new world that's struggling to be born. Imagine this South rising anew in a more inclusive, expansive, works for everybody way.
Yeah.
We have I was so shocked to hear that statistic of here in Tennessee, we're losing 10 acres of farmland a minute or something. Just,
Yes.
Right now we're in this embattled against these massive climate disaster AI centers, the one by the zoo, but the one by Fisk, worse in
Trying
some
to
ways, where
pass
it's like
it off
right in a
as,
black
"Oh,
community.
this is less
Right in the
bad."
North National
Yeah.
Black community that already got the highway mashed through it, that destroyed a bunch of businesses and cultural centers.
And so many of these AI centers we are seeing in Black communities,
Of course.
and this is intentional.
Of course.
It's
Yeah.
it's sickening to me.
But that is the thing that is hopeful. Tressie McMillan Cotton wrote a beautiful piece for the New York Times the other day, where she talked about that this is one of the few things that brings people together
There's
across
definitely
the aisle.
bipartisan support.
Whether it's a rural white community or a Black community, none of them wants poison in their garden. Nobody wants that. It's not good for life, right? Like, and that's the part where when we get this narrative of the people that are the most deeply invested, who already have just an absurd imbalance of the world's wealth in their hands, the billionaire class that's saying this is inevitable. Well, no, what you're saying is you're manufacturing our consent to this by saying it's inevitable.
Right.
They
They always manufacture the consent because they don't have the people
There's no
behind
consensus. This is a
Right.
democratic republic. It's not a theocracy or an autocracy or a tech oligarchy, much as you want it to be.
it. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
things have to work for communities and for life in
Yeah.
this place.
rural America and
Yeah.
urban America are together on this against the billionaires. That's really
Yes.
all it is corporations
Yes.
and million and billionaires
And they try to
that want
use
these centers.
identity wedges, like by saying you have to be afraid of your trans neighbors, you have to be afraid of your black neighbors, you have to be afraid of your immigrant
Afraid of
neighbors,
immigrants,
you have to be afraid of your gay neighbors, you have to be afraid of everybody in order to distract people from the fact that who you should be afraid of, perhaps, are the people
Right.
putting a giant, like, oxygen destroying machine
Exactly.
that takes more water than some countries
hmm
to function.
And especially in some states that are really struggling, like Utah. I know it's a big deal there, where Utah is suffering horrible drought, and they're
What's
trying to
driving it?
take up all of that water, and then how do folks live?
Well,
It's
they
just
don't. It turns into terrible forced droughts and then forced
yeah,
migration from drought.
absolutely. And these folks aren't stupid. They realize this, but they don't want to see beyond their nose, and so what they're doing is doing everything for short-term gain and not thinking about what that's going to mean in 10 and 15
What does that
years.
mean?
And that's not leadership.
No,
It is absolutely not
no.
leadership.
The first democracy on these lands was the Haudenosaunee Confederation. And they have a deep wisdom, which is that whatever decision you make, you have to think about 7 generations in the future.
as
To
we
be a leader,
should.
to be trustworthy as a leader, your decisions have to be thinking about 7 generations of life in the
Yeah.
future.
Right.
And none of the decisions that we're making based on very temporary profit, because here's the other news flash, that destroyed planet will affect their children too.
Yeah.
That poisoned water, the aquifer, will affect their children too.
We say that a lot up here when they're cutting education. It's like, we want your kids to have a good education
Yes,
too. Just,
all
all kids. It's
kids.
not, not only Democrats want their kids to have a good education. Everybody wants
All the
their kid to
kids,
have a good
yes.
education. So
We
this
owe them
is
that.
this is about all of us. It's about the entire circle and making that circle bigger. So I also need to talk about, the your album, your record Outside Child, when that came out, I don't think I took it off playing for probably a year. That was just so important to me because I worked with, taught school, 27 years, and the last 20 probably were working with kids with emotional issues and behavior problems. And much of it was because many of them came from violent backgrounds and troubled backgrounds. And so I just thought that was so powerful and such a record of hope for, to show that you can come through this and come
Yes.
out and come out still with a loving heart and with care for everyone and forgiveness and all of those things.
We
Because
really
so
need
many of the young
forgiveness.
people I worked with, that was a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And it just really made me think, gosh, as many of those kids that could hear this record, it's just so important to so many. And multiple Grammy nominations, and then the same with The Returner. And you did win a Grammy
Yeah,
for
we went
Eve
for
Was
Eve Was
Black.
Black, which
That was
some of your
so
colleagues
great.
didn't like the name.
Bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. They sent me to Good Morning America. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, exactly. We're still thanking them for all the dumb things they do. But now you've got Hour of Chaos. So
Yeah.
what can you tell me about that?
Well, in the Hour of Chaos, it's really a continuation of growing of the circle. It grew up over the 2 years post The Returner as I was having some of my longest separations from my family, doing 2 stints on Broadway in Hadestown, touring nonstop, including opening 53 dates of Hosier's Unreal and Earth Tour. And I was just feeling the need to be in community and to find ways. And often when we're sort of grinding it out on the road, we're lucky if we see, our bandmates and maybe who's opening for us or who we're opening for. But it can be lonesome. And so I wanted to just get as many of my beloved friends and artists together as I could and make joyful noises together. I really think of In the Hour of Chaos as the mixtape to a musical that has yet to be written. And I think in these times of deep, malicious, purposeful attempts at sowing discord between communities, my response is the more we get together,
Yeah,
the happier
right.
we are. I basically go back to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so these are like songs for all children, including our inner children, like
Yeah.
to remind ourselves, like,
Well,
we're
you
here, we're
did
still
go back. I
here.
mean,
Yes.
that was me,
Yeah.
like, watching a lot of the recording, I guess, and whatever I was
Yeah.
seeing. It always was joyful and fun to watch.
Yes.
And then, of course, what always gets me is the kids, you
They
know?
were
So
so
I saw the
fabulous.
ones
Shout out to
with the
Explore
kids.
Community School right here in East Nashville, my daughter's school, and the extraordinary music teacher there, Ms. Marissa Frank, who runs the
Okay.
Explore Community School pop choir. And that was 30 plus 10 to 12-year-old middle schoolers pulling up to Sound Emporium Studios. Cowboy Jack Clemenceau plays historic studio here in Nashville
Yep.
that the fabulous Juanita Copeland runs. And this school bus of 30 kids showing up, spilling out, knocking out their part in under 3 takes. And it was like the most joyful day. We all had Denisha, Kara Jackson,
Yeah.
Brittany Spencer was there that day, Autumn Nicholas, Cassius Culpepper was there that day.
Well,
It
you
was
could
just,
see
it
the
was just
joy.
a joyful, joyful day.
And Ida was there, right?
Oh yes, that's my daughter's.
I think I see
That's
Ida
my
there.
daughter's. Yeah, that's my daughter's school and
Yeah.
choir, and her music teacher and piano teacher.
Well,
Miss
and
Frank.
JT, I saw
Yeah.
him doing a little directing, and it would look like he was having a
so
blast
cute.
too.
They were so pro. They were so, they had moves. They knew the parts. They were like, we're on it. They were just
It was really,
joyful.
really great. I
Yeah.
really enjoy watching that. And it's a
Yeah.
great way to build it up because, I mean, social media, what it can do for
Yeah.
art and just getting it out there, making people going, when can I buy this
Yeah,
record? You know,
Yeah. No,
so
it
when can I
was.
get
It
it?
was honestly the most joyful day in the studio, getting to record with those kids. And it just reminds me, one of the things that really struck me as it made me sad more than anything when we were having the Covenant activations where it was the
Mhm.
whole state really coming together. And I met more Republican women than I
Yeah.
had ever met in my life at your launch for
Yeah.
your senatorial campaign and at Covenant. And these were moms going, okay, this is because Covenant, of course, is a Christian school. It's a predominantly white school. Those are those, and it's mostly, I would say, mostly probably conservative background families that go to that school. And these moms were right there with us because that suddenly they were feeling and realizing, oh no, we really
Yeah.
have to do this together and change these things. And when the callousness of the response of the so-called supermajority in this people's house, which is an imbalanced superminority as far as I
Yeah.
could tell from what
Yeah.
I was seeing in the streets of
Yeah.
what people actually care about. And the way that coming together in protest, in hope of we can do better than this for our kids. We can have some common sense restrictions on gun ownership in this country. We can do it. Other countries have done it, and guess what? It does work.
We're the only one
It
that
does work.
sees this.
We don't
right?
nowhere else is having this kind of carnage from gun violence that we have, and including Canada, where I'm from, which has as many guns
Yes.
but stronger laws around.
I think
how
a
we
higher
deal with those
percentage
guns.
of people in Canada
have guns because so
than they
much
do
of our
here.
country
Yeah.
is rural, is
Yeah.
not, we only have 33
But you don't
million
have
people
that
in the
gun
whole
violence.
country. We don't have that. And, these kids, the little babies with signs, protect kids, not guns. And my daughter wrote one, down with the silence. We don't deserve the violence. She was 9 at the time, the same age as those kids that got shot at Covenant. And her first school, Linden, was right next door,
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the speaker go on Fox News and talk about being afraid.
How dare you?
Talk about being afraid of those kids and comparing them to the rioters, the violent, murderous and murdering rioters from January 6th.
Yeah.
And when I heard him do that, I was like,
Yeah.
there are people that weren't here that believe what he said.
Oh, yes. People say to me all the
They
time,
believe what
you
he
were
said.
an insurrectionist. Because I walked 15 feet from my desk to the well as a representative.
As though
to speak.
anyone was afraid
Right.
of any of you three. When you no,
Yeah.
that is the mendacity of that, and that was like, we can't be worrying about these are trifling people and
Yeah.
these are lying people. I'm sorry, but we just have to
Yeah,
name it
that's
sometimes.
I
I'm going to name it.
yes, I do too.
And not only that, it is offensive as elected officials, representatives of people, of children, to go and lie about children and say you were afraid of them. There wasn't one bit of violence. People were singing.
Yeah.
People were holding hands.
Yep.
People were crying. People were putting flowers for the dead. It was peaceful, nonviolent, direct action and
The
resistance
entire time.
and our right to gather in nonviolent assembly and say, this has to stop, something has to change.
That's exactly what it was. It's just remarkable to me. But that is what gives me hope. All the young people that have come up, they would do school walkouts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's really just so hopeful to me. So as you're out there working, what gives you hope?
Same thing. Our youth, far from being afraid of our youth, I learn more from them than I could ever teach. From my daughter and all of the, not just Gen Z, but generation. She's an alpha, right? She's the generation born the whole next cycle of humanity. She's born after 2012, so they're the whole next cycle of humanity. And what I see among them is a real gift for like superpowers of empathy. I think that there are a lot of adults in this building suffering from very severe empathy impairment. You are not one of them, thankfully. But that was what I observed, was severe, debilitating empathy impairment. And someone suffering from a condition like that should not be in charge of public anything. They're not.
Absolutely.
They can't be. They're not well.
Right. They're
not
well.
well.
And they can't
not
listen
well.
to anyone
They can't
else
listen
if you
and
can't
they can't
understand.
function.
And one time I did on the House floor, William Lamberth, who's in leadership in the Republican Party, he stopped a resolution for a young woman who was a child. She was 17, who had been shot in her community. And she had a college basketball scholarship and all of these things, and was just shot as a senior in high school. And then we had a resolution to celebrate her, and her mother was listening and watching. And he stopped the resolution by pretending that she had committed some crime, which she had not. She hadn't been charged with a crime. There was some suspicion that she might have smoked pot or something like this. And he stopped that resolution with that mother watching and got them all to vote against it. And I was so angry because this was such a wonderful young woman with this college scholarship for basketball who had started a gay-straight alliance at her high school. And that's really what it was about, let's be honest. But I was so mad that I don't usually tag my colleagues when I tweet. That's back when Twitter was better. But I did. I tagged William Lamberth and I said, you know what, William, you need to listen to the song. And it was John Prine, Some Humans Ain't Human. And it was just like the next day he listened to it. And he came back to me and he said, Gloria, you don't think I'm human? I said, what you did yesterday showed no humanity whatsoever. There was no humanity in what you did to that mother and that girl's memory who was shot and was beloved in her community.
And the pettiness of it.
Yeah. And he kept trying to convince me, well, there was rumor, there was this, that she might have, when he was saying it on the House floor, I thought, like, did this person rob a bank? I didn't know about, it sounded like some big crime. And then I found out, somebody said maybe something to do with marijuana. And I'm just like, please.
That is the ongoing,
please. And he really was shocked. And I'm like, William, do you not understand that everything you do up here demonstrates a complete lack of empathy and concern for the people that we're supposed to represent?
And that's what empathy impairment does. He's not aware of his own impairment.
Yeah, exactly. But on a lighter note, for people who need joy, tell me how they can see you and
I'm gonna
find your music and all of that stuff.
It's anywhere you like to get your music, it's there. I'm going to be on the road with Sarah McLachlan throughout July and August, which is
wonderful.
a special joy for a Canadian girl who came up in the 90s. All I wanted to do was play Lilith Fair. So this is as close as I'm going to get, getting to be on tour with Sarah McLachlan. And And I'll be doing my own headlining shows in the autumn. But my music is available everywhere on Concord Records and
Is the new record
website.
out now or
July 10th it
July
drops.
10th?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
really soon.
Yeah,
All
really
right.
soon. Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much for showing up and speaking up and just providing this amazing music that really does make a difference, especially to all of us up here when we need some of that love
Yeah.
and to build that circle. And sometimes, I mean, even I can get really caught up in being so angry.
Yeah,
And
it's hard not
you
to.
are one of the people that helps me remember to love everyone and that's how we do this.
And just to not waste our energy on the trifling people and to instead redivert that, refocus it to building up what we want to see flourish. Because that's a better use of all of our energy, right? Like it's like that thing of, and that's how we
keep
actually
your eye on the
shift
prize,
Yes.
what we're building.
Mavis, I always, the minute someone says that, I hear Mavis in the Staples sing, eyes on the prize.
And I'm going to be seeing Mavis in August.
I got to write a song for Mavis called Human Mind with my dear chosen brother, Hosier. And that's one of the proudest things of my whole career that I got to write for our queen, Mavis. So you gave Mavis my love when you see her. I miss her.
Yeah, she's playing the Caverns with Rhiannon Giddens.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
That would be
Mary Chapin
give
Carpenter.
Give them both my love.
Absolutely.
It's chosen family right there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Absolutely.
It's an honor.
And thank you all for joining us on Standing Tall Podcast. And we will see you out there on the trail.
Tennessee Ride.